Hi, this is Uma Mahesh from CRM1. In this video, I'm going to explain about the PCF control. The PCF means it's a full form of the PCF is Power Apps Component Framework. So let's see the PCF control. So the PCF controls will empower the professional developers and app makers to create the components and which can be used both the model driven apps and canvas apps, and the code components can be used to enhance the user experience while they're working with the data on the forms and views, dashboards and canvas apps. So here is like a little bit example for that. So first you can try with the, you can replace the column means in the regular dynamics is like a field. On the form, the field, numeric field, you want to replace with the slider. When you slide it, it will take like a numbers automatically. So if you want to use that kind of a control, we can build in the PCF. And PCF controls is more flexible UI when you compare with the web resources. In the older versions of the system, we are using the HTML web resource and doing the HTML program in that to load the some custom UI. Now we can, instead of custom web resources, we can go with the PCF controls. Will give a better command to the developers and more coding level flexibility we'll get it. So let's see how whatever the high level points I have explained here. So HTML web resource, the code components are rendered as part of the same context and loaded at the same time of the any other components. Let's say if you have that web resource, okay, when you compare with the components will load the at the time of the form loading, or at the time of while the other control is loading, that time same time these controls will be loaded. And also we can create a code component that can be used across the full breadth of the Power Apps capabilities, and we can reuse these components many times across the different tables, different forms. We can use it. The developers can easily all the HTML, CSS and TypeScript files we can keep into in a single solution, and we can deploy it easily to the other environments. The major advantages when you go with the PCF controls, you can access the rich set of the framework APIs to expose the capabilities like a life cycle of the management, contextual data and metadata, and it's a seamless server access via web API. So in the PCF, we have a utility and data formatting methods. So like a device features like a camera, location, microphone, and easy to invoke for the user experience purpose. And it will support per modern web practices, and it will be performance will be optimized, reusability and ability to bundle all the files in this single solution, and ability to handle being destroyed and reloaded for the performance reasons while it is preserving state. Coming to the license for the PCF, so the Power Apps Component Framework licensing requirements are in line with the existing connectors. So if you are building one PCF control to connect with the Dynamics, or if you connect with the SharePoint, or if you connect with any other systems, so this licensing will be in line with your connector license. And the components are based on the type of the data and the connections used in your app. Okay, so we will be classifying the code component into the two types. The code components connect to the external API services or data directly via user in the browser client, and through the connectors are considered as a premium. The code components, the core component that don't connect to the external API services or data, when they use the connectors are used to the standard features, remains it will go to the minimum they need Office 365 license. And the code components can be declared as premium components by adding the external service usage tag in the manifesto file. Pcf controls in model driven apps. So here I'm going to explain how we can add the Pcf controls to the various controls in model driven apps. Basically, the Pcf controls are the better visualization for the model driven apps. So Pcf controls will provide the ability to extend the visualizations in the model driven apps. As a developer, we can create, debug, import, and add the code components to the model driven apps. So we can add the code components in the we can add the code components to columns, grids, and subgrids of the model driven apps. So here one more important point here. So we can only able to add the Pcf controls to fields, grids, and subgrids. So fields means we have like a text, multi-line of text and date and time. These are like now fields is label changed to the columns, and the grid means for a particular entity. So when you navigate to the entity level, and there if you want to show the different visualizations for your entity data, so instead of regular views, if you want instead of regular views, subgrids, it's like on the forms. If you have a subgrids and if you want to show like a different visualizations instead of a regular list of the records. So like this, we can add like a different types of the controls, whatever the visualizations we can build and you can deploy it, or some of the controls will come with the out of box. So the Power Apps component framework for the model driven apps, by default it will be enabled. By default it is enabled, but whereas for the Canvas app, if you want to add any Pcf controls to the Canvas app, you have to enable that feature in the list of the features from the settings. So in this video, I'm just limiting to how we can add the Pcf controls to the form, subgrids, entities, and the fields, right? So here I'm going to show you the quick demo how we can add that, and here I'm going to use the Pcf controls which will come with the out of box. Later in my videos, later in my next videos, I can show step by step how we can develop the simple and complex Pcf controls. So let's go through. Let me open my CRM environment. Sorry, now it's like a completely Power Apps model driven app. Let me open that and show you that how it is that. So this is my CRM environment. I just taken an example for that account entity. So here for my account entity, so this is a like a entity level, this is a grid we have. So like basically this is a list of the views it will show. So here I want to show like this visualization. So as a calendar control for here, so I want to use that calendar control, that Pcf control, which will come to the which will come by out of box that control. Let me show you how we can add that control to this grid. So let me navigate to the my solution. So which I am working for currently this solution. So I can expand this list of entities. So and here I have already added this account entity. So when you click on this account entity, so it will take you to the account entity properties. So it is taking little time to load. Yeah. So now once it is loaded the screen, you can see these controls. So when you click on these controls, so here by default it's a read-only grid. So when you click on add controls, so here on the grid level, whatever the PCF controls is available, so it will show the both all the both out of box and as well as whatever the custom PCF controls you have built and you have deployed to this current environment, that both will show here. So you can see all these controls are supported for the grid. So the same controls will also will be available for the subgrids as well. Let me take here. I'm going to take this calendar control view. Sorry, calendar control grid. So when you select this one, so when you click on add, so you have to define the list of properties for the available for the PCF controls. So for this PCF control, so first you have to select. So for what are the areas you want to enable this grid. So you want to enable for the web and mobile and tab, what are the versions of the apps you want to show this PCF control grid. So here you have to enable. So for this PCF control, you have to configure which field you want to consider for the start date and description and end date. So here I'm taking the start date field. So I'm binding with the created on for now. So later, like in generic scenario, in the real time, you have to select that whatever the fields they have asked. So once you click on OK, so then description field, I'm binding to the account name. And the end date, I'm binding to the modified on. Let's take it as a modified on date as an end date. And the duration, it's not a mandatory, so we can leave it as a blank. But you can see the stars, those are the mandatory properties you have to select. If it's a blank, you cannot save it. So once you select it, click on save. And once it is saved, you can publish. So let me publish this one. And let me go to the app and refresh the screen. Refresh the app. You should be able to see calendar control here. See, you can able to see, right? So here there is a one account is created on this particular date and time. So like this, we can able to show. You can able to change that entity view to that particular calendar control view. So like this, we can change that grid view to the PCF controls. So now let me go to the entity. Let me open this record and see how we can add to the field level. So like we have a different fields here. So now fields is rename it as a column. So we have this all the columns we have. So how we can add the PCF control to the particular column. So let me navigate to the solution. So we can go to the solution and navigate to the forms. and select your form, which form you are using. So once this form is open, you can select which field you want to add the Pcf control. Like let me, I'm taking the account name. So when you open this account name, properties, field properties, and you can go to the controls view. Here this is a controls tab, and you can add control, and here it will show like all the different types of the field level, the Pcf controls which are supported for the fields. So this all the list of the controls for the single line of text data type will support. So here I'm selecting like one of the Pcf control. So let me take like a rich text editor. So we can select like input mask also. So let me take this one for as an input mask. Sorry. So let me take that only. Rich text editor. So there is a Pcf control. So we can add to the field, and we need to select. So if you have any custom configurations, we can select it here. We can click on edit, and we can select the static value, or we can select the URL field from the website URL. So we can bind it, else we can leave it as a blank, this since it's not a mandatory field. So once you click on OK, that control will be added to this one here. And in the same way, let me show you for the subgrades also we have this contact subgrade in the account form. So when you go to the contacts subgrade, so we can select the controls, and you can add a new controls. So these are all the controls which are supported for the grid, and same controls will support for the subgrid as well. So we can select the subgrid and click on add, and you can select the properties. So all the properties, whatever is required here. And once you click on here, that control will be shown for the subgrid also. So since I have already shown for you in the grid levels, that's why I'm not adding for the subgrid here. Let me save this form and publish. So now it's published. Let me go to the app and let me refresh this form. And when you go to the account name, still it's loading that Pcf control here. So this Pcf control, so we have like a rich controls here. We can edit and we can format and we can save it, right? So like this, we can add the Pcf controls to the grid level and subgrid level, and field level we can add it, field or column level. So here one important question for the interviews, right? When you are taking up the interviews, they on the Pcf controls, they will ask in the model driven apps, what are the places you can able to add the Pcf controls? So the answer is we can able to add on the columns or field level, and we can able to add the Pcf controls to the grid level and subgrid level. This video, I'm going to explain the Power Apps code components for Canvas app. In my previous video, I just explained about the Pcf controls for model-driven apps, how we can add the out-of-box Pcf controls to the model-driven apps. If you haven't watched that video, just have a look on that video also. Let's start with that current how we can add the code components to the Canvas app. So the code components for the Canvas app, basically the app makers or the developers can use the Pcf controls to create or import the code components to Canvas apps by using the Microsoft Power Platform CLI. So here, when you want to use the Pcf controls for the Canvas apps, so there is some security considerations you have to take care of. The code components contains the code that may not be generated by the Microsoft and potentially can access the security tokens and data when it is rendered in the Power Apps Studio. So when you add the code components, so let's say when you want to add some code components to your Canvas app, which is not developed by you or your company. So wherever, like if you are downloading from the Pcf Gallery, and you have to be very careful on that before downloading and using the Pcf controls. You have to be very careful on the security tokens. So only you should use the trusted sources only. The solutions which you are downloading or importing to your environment, that should be trusted. Or you have to revalidate that code components, that is there any any vulnerability contains that, like a virus and anything they have taken reading the tokens, right? So that should be very, very careful. So as administrators and system customizers should review and validate all the code components before you importing so those components into your environment. So this is security risk considerations is very, very, very important for, especially when you are downloading something from third-party systems, or downloading from somewhere in the blogs or internet. You are downloading and you are trying to import it and try to use it. You should be very careful on the security side. And if you want to use the code components in your Canvas app, so the first step you have to do, one thing is like you have to get the Power Apps license for that. And other thing, the system administrators, you need the system administrator privileges is required to enable the code components for your environment for Canvas apps. But if you want to use for the code components for model-driven apps, you no need to enable that feature anywhere in the system. But when you want to use the code components in your Canvas app, then you have to enable that feature in the system. In the environment settings, right? Let's see how we can enable that feature for the Canvas apps, because that's a very most important thing. So without enabling the code components for the Canvas app, so you should not be able to import that Pcf controls or like a code components into the our Canvas app. So let me explain that how and where you have to enable that feature. So the first thing, you should log into the admin.powerplatform.com. So let me navigate to that. So when you log into this admin.powerplatform.microsoft.com, you can see your list of environments, or you can click on this environments. So select your environment and open your environment here. And here in the top, you can see the settings. Click on that settings. And in the settings, we can see the product. So if you click on this product, under the product, you can see the features. So here, all the features, we have to enable it here. The new features, if you want to enable it. So once you have opened that features, you can see all the list of features which you want to enable in your environment. So like you can see the embedded, the Power BI, Bing Maps, and the prevent the social data to the dynamics. So here you can see, so there is a Power Apps component framework for Canvas app. So the initially by default it will be off, and we have to enable this one, turn on, and in the below you can click on the save. Okay, because currently here I have already enabled the component framework here. That's why it's not allowing me to save. So when you turn off, you can see actually there is a change. That's why. So like this, you can turn on this component framework for the Canvas apps. Let me show you how we can able to see that how we can able to add the component Pcf controls or components to the Canvas app. Let me log in. Let me go to the. So here, I don't want to save here. And the first thing which I want to change my environment here. Let me change to this one, because I have enabled that feature in this environment. Let me create one blank app. I can put apps, create a new Canvas app. So I can give it test this app name. So once you have this blank app came, so when you click on this plus icon here, click on the plus icon, and you can see the get more components. When you click on this get more components, so here in the Canvas app level, I don't have any components which I have created. So I can go to the code. So in the code level, so whatever the Pcf controls or components which you build or which comes from the default solution, so we can select those things. I have like only one component I have. So let me select, and I click on import. So that component will import it to my app, and that I can see under if you click on a plus, under that in the insert, you can see the code components here. So what are the code components are imported in my Canvas app? It will list here. Let's say if I want to add this code component to the screen, I can add it. So I can adjust the space, sorry, I can adjust the size. And for each code component, there might be some properties you have to set it. So here this thing will expect the list of the questionnaires and the positions and this height and width, and you have like a advanced, you can have something in the ideas, there is some galleries you can configure it. So like this, you can use the code components. Sometimes if you don't need this code component in your app, if you want to delete it, you can select this. You can select this one. Select the app and we can delete it. So on the app, you can select, and from the screen, you can delete it. Right. So yeah. So like this, you can add your Pcf controls to the Canvas app. So Pcf and code components are same. So Pcf is like a Power Apps code comp. So Pcf and code components are it's like a same thing. So Pcf controls, how we can download and install in our organization. So why we have to look into the Pcf gallery for the Pcf controls? Because like for every developer, the first choice for the Dynamics and Power Apps side is like a something you can get it like a with the less cost and with the less customizations or less work. If something is already built in the by some of them and it's available in the open source or in the paid services, so it's better to get it done, get it that max to maximum that work from the different sources and install in our environment, and you can try to use. Of course, for some of the projects you might not be able to do that, we have to build some of our own components, but it's better as a developer you should look into that into the in the internet. Is there something similar component is already built in the Pcf gallery? You can just check that thing and get the code as a reference, and you can start building your own. So that definitely this will help you while developing the Pcf controls. Let me navigate to that, how we can navigate to the Pcf gallery and how we can look into that in the Pcf gallery site and how we can download it. Let me start that explanation. So let me open that site first. So once you open that internet Google page, so then you can search for Pcf gallery. So once you enter that, you can see the HTTPS Pcf gallery site. So you can open that site, and here this is different Pcf controls which is already available. So like we can download and you can start using those things. So you can search by criteria. So you can see like a 3D and action and the audit history and some authentication side, animations. So here we can search it like for assign Pcf controls what we have. So we have like a different controls available here, and also we can search. Here we have a search. So here, let me go back. Here we have a search option. So we can search. So here, let me take one Pcf control as an example. Let me take it as a multi-select. So we have multi-select Pcf controls we have. So we have a different types of multi-select controls. It's like end-to-end, and multi-select is a flat, and multi-select has entity picker. So let me, I'm taking for this one end-to-end. So when you open this one, select this Pcf control, you can see that how to use this Pcf control. You can see the YouTube video, and if you want, you can visit the Git site. And if you want to download this control, you can click on the download. It will take to you that GitHub site, and here in the GitHub, you can download the source code, and you can build in your local, and you can deploy, or else we will have like a, here you can find a manager solution also. Directly you can import it to the your environment. For this Pcf control, I think they are not providing any managed solution. So they are completely providing the source code we can download, and we can build from our local, generate the managed solution, and we can import it with our CRM. Let me take another Pcf control, so which is providing the manager solution. So if you see here, they have a managed solution here. So you can download this managed solution file. So we can go to here, download, click on the download file. It will take some time to download. So once we got this solution file, so once it is downloaded, we need to navigate to our CRM and go to the solutions and import a solution. Here choose your solution file path, and this is my solution. Click on next. Import. So once it is imported successfully, these Pcf controls will be available. So for the model driven apps, and if it's a Canvas app, then it's in the Canvas app also it is available. So how we can add to the model driven app and Canvas app, I have explained in my previous videos. Just go through that. So this is how we can download the Pcf controls from Pcf Gallery, and we can import into our CRM, I mean in our Dynamics, and we can use it. Pcf controls, and how we can create the basic project, Pcf controls project, and what are the prerequisites needs to be installed in our local machine. And these are the basic steps I'm going to explain in this video. Let me go through those steps here. Here I have listed down these all the basic steps in this notepad. So the first step for creating a Pcf control project is that we have to install the Node.js. So we have to go to the internet. So in the browser, and you can go to the nodejs.org. There you can go to the downloads here. And here you can see for Windows, and we can see the Windows installer. So currently my machine is 34-bit. I'm going to download this one and install the 34-bit Node.js. So once it is downloaded, when you open this MSI file, so it will prepare that Node.js installation wizard. So click on next, accept the terms and license agreements, click on next and click on next and click on next and click on the next, and it will install it. So it will take some time to do the installation. So let's wait for that. So now this installation is successful. Click on the finish. Now let me go to the, what is the next step? We need to open the PowerShell and we need to execute the command node v. So that will give the, what is the version of the Node.js is got installed. So we can go to the Windows and open the PowerShell. So Windows PowerShell, here we can open this one. Well, let me copy this command. So now we can paste this command and execute. So this is the version of the Node.js we have installed. So we will get the version. So the next step, what we have to do, we have to download the Visual Studio Code. So we have to go to the internet again. So we have to go back to the internet and you can see this code.visual studio download, and we can download for Windows. So my Windows is 34-bit. So I can download that as a 34-bit. So it started downloading. So let it be once it is downloaded. So now it's downloaded. Let me install this one. So we can accept the agreement, click on the next and install. It will take a little bit time to install that Visual Code. Okay, so now it's installed. So let me go to the next step. What is the next step is, so we have to install the Power Apps CLI. So let me go to the here internet and go to the Microsoft site. Let me go. So you can go to the Microsoft documentation and Power Apps CLI. So here we have we can go to the so we can download the CLI, Microsoft CLI here. So it is downloading now. So once it is downloaded, So we have to install it. This. So we have to accept the terms and click on installation. So this Power Apps CLI is got installation got finished. So the next step is that, so it will take some time to install that. After we install the Power Apps CLI, we need to validate that Power Apps CLI is the latest one we have downloaded. So we can go to the command prompt. So command bar, we can go to the Windows and open the command prompt, and we need to run as administrator that we need to copy this command, pack, install latest one. So that will validate that Power App CLI it is installed the latest one or not. We can check it here. So this is saying that this already is installed the latest package. Okay, so let me go to the next step there. So the next step is that we need to create a project for the PCF project. So in that, the first step, we need to create our own folder in our local machine. So let me go to here, go to my D drive, and so let me create my local folder here for Pcf Controls. I'm creating it as a new folder. I'm taking it as a Pcf, this folder name. So let me go to once we created a local folder here, then I can go to the next step, open a command prompt and change my location. So let me copy my folder location. So open here, copy this folder location, and here change the CD. That sorry. So once we change to the CD drive and Pcf, and let me go to the next step. So the next step, we need to execute the Pcf, the project creation statement. So like a command we need to execute. So this command is like initializing the new project. So in that statement, we have to give that namespace of the project, and we have to give the project name, and we have to tell that like a template, like in these templates we have field or grid, database data set. So two types of the templates we can, two types of the projects we can able to create it. One is a field and other one is a data set. So I have created like a sample command here. So, and I have taken this command, and here I am taking this namespace as a CRM ones and the project name as a CRM PCF project. So now let me go back to the here and paste this command and execute. So it will take a time to set up that project template and the folder structure. So here, see, I got an error. It's like a PC is that there is no recognized command. So let me check my command once again. Oh, sorry, there is a typing mistake. We have to give the double hyphen here. So I have corrected my command syntax. Let me copy it again and go to the here and let me paste and run this time. So this time it started installing. This project is created successfully and it started running the npm installation. So this npm installation will take some time. Let me let run it. And once this npm install, this command executed successfully, you can see like a 636 files, and the some of the files is got audited, like a 637 files are got audited. Now open the Visual Code, Visual Studio Code, and open this folder which we created previously in my local machine. So let me open that folder. It goes on the D drive and open it as this one as a PCF. And if you see here, we can have like a PCF project and Node.js modules got installed here. So if you go to the here and you can see it's generated. So let me go back to the PCF and select this folder so that files will display here. Okay. So now here you can see these all the PCF files, what are the basic folder structure and the basic template files, package files also it will come here. So we are going to discuss this each folder structure and what is the purpose of the each file. We will discuss it in couple of in my next videos. So let me here, after we open this folder here, this folder structure is comes, everything is good. Now we can go to the last step for npm run build. So if we execute this one npm run build, so that our project will be build that it will build our project. So our Pcf control project will be built. So it started building that. So if we have like any compilation errors or anything, it will display here. So since it is a Pcf plain, I mean, we haven't done any coding so far here. It's like a just one empty project we have created. So we are executing. So its build is succeeded. Now we can execute another command, npm start. So actually it will start that our Pcf control project. It will open in a browser. So that control is so it will open this or control in locally. So these so here you can see these my Pcf control, this namespace, and this is a web and the tablet, what's the height and width, you can give it here. These properties we can set it later. So this is how we can create a basic Pcf control folder structure and the installations we have to do. So let's see more about this folder structure and how we can do the coding here. So in my next videos. Custom Pcf control. So in my previous video, I have explained how we can create the Pcf custom control project.
So after creating a project, the first step is that we have to implement the manifest file. That's it. That's a basic configuration file. We have to do the configuration. Let's see like what is the manifesto file and where you have to configure that. So after you create the project, so Pcf control project, after you create, so basically it will create this folder structure. So this is like a Pcf is my custom folder which I have created. So in the CRM Pcf project, so that's a basic control project which I have created. If you expand that, you can see generated. There is a one folder will be there, and after that we have a control manifest dot import dot xml file. This is a file is a very important for us. So in this session we are going to explain about this manifesto file. So here this manifesto file is a xml file. So here you have like a various tags, xml tags it is there. So the first tag is a manifesto tag. So under that you will have like a control tag. Under that, after that, like at the manifesto will, under the control tag you will have so many sub tags. So let's discuss first one by one. So the control tag, we have like the control tag, we have a namespace. So this namespace we have provided at the time of the project creation, and the constructor name. So we have basically it will take the folder name of the uh, project and the version. So this is like the control version number, it will take it, and display name key is like a unique name for this display name of the control, and that should be unique. And the description key, so that's a control description, it will take that. And the control type, so basically this control type we have a standard type. So let me discuss more about this control tag in the theoretically. So the control manifesto is an XML file that contains the metadata and behavior of the code component. So the entire this manifesto file will contains this all the metadata. It's like while you are configuring this Pcf control on the model driven apps or canvas app, what the properties you want to display, those all the data types and everything, you will be configuring the manifesto file. So the first tag we have discussed the control tag. So under the control tag we have the namespace attribute and the constructor attribute, version and display name of the key and description key and the control type. Right, namespace is like a namespace of the total this control component, and the constructor is like a constructor of the component, and the version is like a version of the component, so which you can update later. So whenever the new versions is you want to change it, make the changes, and you want to publish, you can change the version number. And the display name is like a name of the control and which will displays the on the UI. So description, you can write something description about the control. So control type, this code component type, only it is standard types. The code components are supported. The next tag, we have a property tag. So in the property tag, you will define, so like a name of the first in the property tag, we have the several attributes, name, display name key and description key and of type. So like we have basically here the control properties you will define it. Name means it's like a name of the property, and display name key, it will provide the display name with the no spaces you have to mention in the control. So it's like a description key is like a description. You will be shown in the Dynamics 365 in the custom control. Of type, if you are using the single data type, then there are so many there are some supported data types that are can be used of the of type attributes. So value types is like a two option set, whole number and currency and date and time, date and time date only. So single line of text, I mean single line email, single line phone, single line text, and single line text area, single line trigger. So these are the property data types you can define it. And if you want to mention of type group, so you can mention like a group type name, and you can mention like a all, it's like a single line of you can crypt like all the thing is a group of the attributes in single line of text. And the data set tag, it will support for the where you want to display on the something in the grid, grid type of controls you are building, that time the data set tag will display. Currently in my manifesto file, it won't, this data set tag it won't come because I have created a project type is a template type is a field. So for field, it won't, this data set tag it won't come. But whenever you take it as a data set control, that time this tag will be displayed. So here in these tags, you have to provide a name of the data set and the display name of the data set and description. And we have another tag is a resource tag. So resource tags where you will display where you will mention the code path. So basically all the code will start for the Pcf control is index.ts. So ts means it's like a TypeScript file. So here you, for the custom controls, Pcf custom controls, you will write a TypeScript of the code. So we will discuss more about the TypeScript. So when we actually start the program for the TypeScript programs, so that time we will discuss it. So here you will have like under resource tag, we have a sub tags. So code, so we will specify that code path where we will start that. Next thing is a CSS tag. So you, whatever the design styles you want to display, that there we will take it. And if you want to load the RESX files, so there we will display, we will give that file image file path here. And the images, if you want to load in some images in your custom Pcf controls, that image tag, that file path you will give it in the resource tags. Okay, so let me explain in the manifesto file again. Let me show you the exactly what other things will come in the manifesto file. So as we discuss this control tag, we'll have all the details about the controls, namespace and the constructor and thing. And inside the controls, we will see that external service usage is enabled or it's a false, enabled or false. If it's enabled, you have to mention that domain. Domain is a tag. You have to mention which domain they want to use it here. And okay. So by default, like when you create it, it will be by default false. If you enable true, so you have to mention like which domain things we are using it. And this one property tag. So we have here, we have like a name and the display name and the description keys and the type of type, single line of text or thing. So if you want to use it as a group, then we have to mention like all the group of the things here. And the resources, you can see here. So currently it's a code path tag is enabled in my project. But if you want it, you can enable the CSS path and the strings and images path. You can enable it. And additionally, you have a features. right? So you have a feature usages. So if you want to capture that devices, capture the device video, or capture the device image, and they capture the video and get barcode, and this some type of the things we have. And here the most important thing is a utility. So utility is like our dynamic CRM. uh, we have like a utility JavaScript, right? So that will give it that all the utility statements here. And if you want to use this xrm.webapi.retrieve and retrieve multiple, you can use this web API. So these are the two features we have to uncomment here when you want to use the utility and the web API. So this is all about the building a manifesto file. Manifesto file is very, very important when you are building this component control. So custom Pcf controls, the manifesto file is very, very important. So how we can start implementing the logic in the custom Pcf control. So let me share my VS4 code solution. So in our previous video, so I have explained that how we can define the manifesto file. So basically this code path, so in the under resources tag in the manifesto file, the code path, the file name, so which file is like a starting for the index.ts, right? So this is the file where we will do the program for the custom Pcf control. So now we have to go to the in our project, you can see that index.ts. So this file will be created when you create the Pcf project. So when you open this file, so here you can see, so let me scroll up, scroll to the top. So here you can see in the index.ts, ts means it's a extension of the Typescript file. So here the Typescript files, the program will start with the import. So basically in our C# or in the C++, it's like a include, it's kind of a header. So we can import that some thought, we can easily include that the other classes in our thing, right? So here we have a export method. So everything will start with the export class. So the export is like a keyword. So in this class we have to tell that like a which inputs and outputs, and we inside that we'll have like a constructor, and inside that we have a main. So one of the main method is like a initiate method. So initiate is like it's kind of a thing where control will start loading it, right? So in this one, in the initiate method, so it will expect a couple of parameters. So like a context, right? So context will expect that like a component inputs. So whatever the inputs you are getting here, so here whatever the from standard inputs, whatever you are getting, that you will pass into the context, right? And you have a and like a init method, it's kind of a initializing the component, and we will have like a particular action or remote server calls we will do in the init method. So this init method will have the properties like a couple of properties. So context will contains the input properties, also contains the parameters on interface functions on the component metadata, and we have a state. So you can see this state. So state is having like a state is having this parameter where will save this, and it will set the state of the control state. So which is like a previous earlier session, whatever we have in that state, you will able to get it here in this state. And you have a notification output, notify output changed. So this is JavaScript, I mean this is a type is a function. So where you will where like when the control new when the control is new output is available to display that, so this notification change method we will call it. And we have a container. So container will we have it here, one more parameter here. So this container is like a basically HTML dev. So type is like a HTML dev element. So this parameter will use the div element to render the content, So basically how we can start implementing this init method, what type of code we will write it, we will see in the next couple of videos, right? So basically this initialize method, it's kind of our CRM form onload. It's similar to the form onload. So we have another method is a update view. Update view, we have a parameters like a context. In the context you will get like all the inputs and the properties, and we will get the metadata, those details to here. So this update view, when it will trigger, so whenever when the new value is changed, so in the property some new value is changed in the bag, property bag, so that time it will change. So it can be like a field values or global values or data sets or component metadata and so on. It contains the parameters that includes what are the values is changed. So that update view method will trigger. So basically on the control, if anything is got changed, so then this update view method will trigger. So in CRM, if you ask me, like it's like a field on change event. It's similar to the field on change event. So all like whenever you select some value on the field, in the background you want to write some code for the Pcf control. So we'll start implementing these lines of code here in the update view. And we have another method, get outputs. So get outputs here, we have to return that in the properties, right? In the field in the Pcf control, what the element, what the output you want to display, you have to set it here in the return. So in this method we have to set it. And we have another method, destroy. So if you want to this method, I mean this method will trigger, and if you want to clean up the controls and you want to clean up the DOM objects, or you want to clean up some memory, we want to clean up the memory that's still used by the component. So for those scenarios we will call this destroy method. Okay, so here the main summary for this. So in the TypeScript, so we have a main methods is like init and update view and get outputs, and we have a destroy. So init method we will call like whatever the logic we want to implement. So like it's similar to on the control onload, you want to do some logic and you want to write some server calls, or you want to do something in the onload of the control. So we will do that code in the init method. And if you want to change, like whenever some value is changed in the property field values, or in the property values, or in the metadata, so that time you want to trigger some logic, some code in the something you want to do it. then we have to use the update view. That method we have to write it. And the get output method. So output method will like always you will map the what the PCF control result, right? So what you want exactly, you want to return that from the backend to the UI elements, so that we will map it here. And the destroy, so whatever the controls or DOM elements you want to clean up, then we will use the destroy method. In this video, I'm going to explain how we can build and deploy that PCF control to the Dataverse environment, and then how we can test this PCF control. So basically, in my previous videos, I have explained how we can create the PCF control project, and then how we can do the manifesto file, and then I have explained that how we can do the logic for that PCF control. So in this video, I have taken a small example that's a linear control. So that program I have built, and that PCF control, how we can deploy, how we can build, and how we can make the package, and how we can deploy that package to the Dataverse. So I will explain step-by-step process here. Let's start that process. So here I have this my control manifesto file. So here you can see I have created some group controls here. So the type I have kept it as a group and as a numbers, and we have a whole number, currency, and floating point numbers and decimal. And I have created a one property that's a control value. So this is a control value, control property name is a control value, and you can see how we can binding to that. So I have created this one is a bound. So usage is a bound that in the real time. So you can bound that particular field to this control. So this property. So you can bound the field, or you can pass this something is a static text. Okay. So here I have created one more thing is like in the resources group, you can see that index.ts. So index.ts is like where I have implemented the core logic, and I have defined that some CSS classes here. So this path is like you can see this is here we have something, the full CSS folder I have created. And if you go to the here, so some CSS classes have written here. So this is my namespace, and this is my project name, and this like some standard CSS classes I have taken from the internet. Okay, let's see the index.ts, the logic. So here, so previously I have explained, so every logic will start in the init method. So basically the control will load from the init method. So in the above, we just created some variables. So like we have a value, the type is a number, and we have a notify the output changed. So this is like a method we have declared as a void, and we have a label element. So it's declared as a HTML label element, and input element. It's like a HTML input element. And the container, so we have created some HTML dev element as a container. Context, we have declared as it's a global variable declared as a component framework context. And repress data, so it's a event listener or event list listener object. So that type we have declared. So in the initiate method, so this dot context, so this will give the your this will give the, well, in this control we have like this variable, and I'm assigning the context, whatever it is there, it is coming here, I'm assigning. And the container, we are creating like a element, document.create element is like a dev element we are creating. And the notification assigned, we are just taking that notification changed. And refresh data, we are binding this control to this refresh data. And similarly, we are creating like a one input element. So that's like we are taking as a type and we are giving as a range, that's set attribute. And we have a listening method. So we are assigning that listener. So which JavaScript method should call here, right? So here we are setting that input elements. So what's the minimum value? What's the maximum value it should come? And we are assigning some CSS classes here, some ID we are setting here. And then we are creating some label here. And that for that label, we have a linear range label and ID we are setting for that. And in the context, we are taking that in the field value. What's the field value they have? So here the control value. So in the context dot parameters, that you will get like a control value. I have shown you right here in the manifesto file. This is a property we have created. So this property will be bind with the field value in the dataverse. That value will be taken to here. So this is how we are reading this. So control value dot draw, and we are taking that value to the set attribute. So what the control value we have that format and the value, or else we are setting to the 0, and label we are setting as a 0. So in the initiate method, we are appending this control, the container. And if coming to this one refresh data, so we are in this method, we are what's the latest value, it is there in the control and we are taking and we are notifying it. In the update view, so like it's whenever this values is got changed and we are setting back to this one. And in the output method, so the control value, we are taking like this dot value, what is the latest value we have on the variable. So that we are setting to the back to this property. And here we are destroying this refresh method, right? So this is simple code which I have taken from the internet, and here I pasted, and I'm just trying to build this control here. So to build this control, so you need to open Visual Studio. So Visual Studio command. Sorry. It's Visual Studio command prompt. So when you start searching here, so you can take that command here. So here we have a developer command prompt for the Visual Studio Code. So this one you can run as an administrator. So it's not command prompt. So this command, once you open this one, Visual Studio command prompt, you need to change to your directory. So I have my thing in the D drive, CD, Pcf, then I have it as a CRM, Pcf. Project is the folder. So if you go to the here, then you have to run certain commands here. So let me show you that what's the commands you have to run. So first thing, if you want to run the build, right, you have to execute this one, npm run build. So if you execute this one, npm run build, so in the background it will execute the code. So you have to navigate to your Pcf Control project location, then you have to run this command. If it successfully built, then we have to do the further step. So it's building. Okay, it's build succeeded. So now the further step, you have to go to the your project folder here, and if you want, you can create the new folder where you want to package these things. So we can create a separate folder outside the your Pcf control. So let me go to the here and create a new folder. So I'm giving this folder name as a solutions, right? So this is a new folder I have created. So now you need to go back to your command control. So you have to move to that folder location, cd space, sorry, cd space solutions I have given. So now we are in the solution. Now we have to create the package, right? Package project. So to do that, so we have a certain command to execute. So here we have to give this pack solution, this is a command, and initiate, and you have to give your publisher name. So like I'm giving here my publisher name. So if you already have in your Dataverse, use the same publisher name and prefix. If you don't have, so you can create your own publisher and own prefix, you can create it. So let's say I'm giving like here, CRM1 is my publisher name, and I'm giving the prefix is a CRM1 is my publisher, prefix name I'm giving like this. So now this command, if I go to the here, and if I execute this command, so then it will create this package solution for us in the solution file. Like it's kind of a Dataverse solution project will be created. You can see here this solution project is created successfully. So the next step, we have to add the reference, right? So you have to which project Pcf control you want to add to your Dataverse solution project, right? So for that we have to do. So we have this thing. So we have to give the pack solution add reference. So you can mention this path. So like a // So why I'm giving // here? So here I have the folder. So within this my main folder. So I have like this is here Pcf control. Inside that I have a solution. So that way I've given a // If you have your folder in separate location, you have to mention that your control path. So let me show you how it is. So here you have to give. So like you have to give. So let me go to the folder where I have it is in this PC in my D drive. I have in the Pcf. I have here, right? This folder path we have to give, not the solutions folder path. You have to give only where you have your Pcf control project. So here you can mention your project folder here and give double quotes and enter. Now you can get a message, you have successfully. Okay, I have a project reference is like a okay. So there is some path is wrong. Sorry. So this command we have to execute pack add reference. I have my control in this folder D drive Pcf. Let me show you this one. So actually I was trying for this folder, but actually this all the out folder is in this Pcf, right? So once you build it, this out the control you will get it, right? So here you will get this control. So actually we have to give this root folder PCF. So that's what I did here, and I added this one. So now it's executed successfully. So once it is executed successfully, so we have to run a command to build this one. So we have a ms build. If you are building this your control at the first time, you have to use this one ms build /d restore. So it will restore all the required NuGet packages. So if you run this command, it will start restoring this all the. So build is started again. So it determining the project so which you want to restore. So in the same solution, like a PCF solution, you can have like a multiple PCF controls in the single solution. So now it's successfully built. And if you go to the, so my folder path, I can go to this folder. Inside this folder, I have a solution folder, this one. And if you see in the objects, sorry, not the objects, in the src, we have this files is, we have a solution and we have a customization.files are created now. Now once it's built succeeded, so now once you execute this command, then we have a ms build. This command, if you execute this one ms build, so it will start creating that it start creating that zip folder. So like our solution file. So you can find the solution file in the directory solution bin debug. So when you execute this ms build command, so it will give that by default unmanaged solution. If you want to make it as a release, if you want to take it as a managed solution, so you can execute this command and it will give this managed version of this solution. So let me show you that one also. Okay, so now it's executed successfully. Let me go to the folder, refresh, go to the bin folder. If you go to the debug, and you can see this is the manager solution. So here, if you want to change the solution name, and you can change this one, right? So the solution for file name you can change if you want. Then here, if you go to the release, you can see it's a manager solution. So if you go to your source code, and now if you expand this one, go to the solutions and go to the src, and here you can see solution.xml. So what is a version of solution and what is a basic solution name, here unique name what you have. So if you want to change the solution name, by default that folder name, it will take it as a solution name. So if you want to change your solution name, and if you want to change that local name, and if you want to change that unique name of your solution publisher and the prefix, you can change it here. And if you want to change the version name, these are like your solution version name, you can change this version. So here, this is a solution version. You can change the version of the solution, and you can build and you can deploy, right? So this all the basic the solution package will be having this one here. Let me deploy this package, whatever I generated, to the CRM. So this is my CRM environment. Let me import that solution to here. choose the file. So currently it is in the D drive. It's in the PCF. This is in the one on the solution file, and in the bin debug, I was importing this one. I'm importing this one as a manager solution. So unmanager solution. So click on next and import. So currently I'm doing it manually, deploying my Pcf control to CRM, but later we can do it as like a build tools package with the package also. So now my control is deployed. So you can see my control is deployed now here. So now let me go to my solution which I have. Here I have one solution is a PCF. So let me go to the solution. And let me go to my entity. So let me update this entity account. And let me open. So once we have imported that solution, we need to go to that. So I have kept these number fields. So if we go to my code on the manifesto file, so like you can go to here control manifesto file. So this my control will come to the whole number, currency and frequency, floating number and decimal numbers. So these numbers only this my control will display. Let me go back to my control. So I have this whole number I have. So if you go to the controls and add new control, and if you can go to here in the CRM project, click on add and select for the web, right? And if you click on OK and save and publish. Once you did this one, then your control will be on the form. Let me refresh and show you that. So now we can able to see this the PCF control which we have. So we can whatever the value, it's a 0 minimum value and maximum value we kept it as a this one. So 1000 we have kept it. So this is how it will take this control. So now we can see this one, this 300 this value. So like this, we can develop the PCF controls and we can build it and we can package it and we can deploy to the CRM and add to your feed. So like this, we can do it